Hi everyone, this is Manjushtha, your podcast host, and I hope life is treating you well. So today I'm back here again with another topic, and today's topic is very sensitive. It is something that we all feel inside, but we hardly bring it to our mouth, we hardly speak about it. We hardly mend these things with our partner. So let's get started. So, have you ever felt like you love someone, but something still holds you back? Maybe it's hesitation before you open up. Maybe it's overthinking that text, overthinking every word that they're saying. But the truth might vary from what you are thinking. And that is anxiety and fear. Maybe you're afraid of losing them. Maybe you're afraid of something that has happened in the past and it repeats again. So, that is why we are going to address how many types of fear are there, how it can affect your relationship, and how it can affect your future, and why it is important to, get in control of your emotions, regulate them in a very healthy manner, not suppressing them, but in a very healthy manner, and move forward in your life. So, segment one is, what is the most thing that we are afraid of? That is abandonment. We don't want our partners to leave us, the person who we love so much, the person we have given all in on, to just abandon us, right? So that is fear number one, fear of abandonment. You fear that will they leave me? Research and attachment theory shows that people with anxious attachment style often experience this intensely. And how it affects you: overthinking everything, needing constant reassurance, anxiety when there is emotional distance. These things break a relationship. It breaks the bond that is between you. How does it affect the relationship? You can feel overwhelming. The partner creates emotional dependency, leads to cycles of clingingness and withdrawal. You cling to your partner, you say that, oh my God, I love you so much, this, that, you care for him, and then suddenly you withdraw. You give silent treatment, you don't talk to him much. So that is fear of abandonment, and that's how it affects you. Impact your future. If unhealed, this fear turns into survival. This love turns to survival. You don't love freely. You love to avoid loss. And slowly that pressure pushes your partner away. Segment 2, fear of intimacy. The opposite of fear of abandonment. Now, intimacy does not mean that something is physical, it is something emotional. Here, closeness feels unsafe. How it affects you: difficulty to open up, discomfort with emotional vulnerability, need for excessive independence. How does it impact your relationship? Your partner feels shut down, emotional disconnect grows, love feels one sided. And the future impact? You may have relationships, but you may truly never feel seen. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves, not more than this. And intimacy requires being known, not just being present, knowing everything about your partner, emotionally validating each other, loving in each other, being there for each other, talking to each other and knowing each other's feeling, how they feel about certain things. That is true intimacy. Then fear of rejection. What does rejection say? Rejection says that if they see the real me, then would they choose? And that is why many couples in a relationship, they block themselves. They don't express what they need. They don't express how they feel. They don't communicate properly. And communication is a key pillar to any relationship. any relationship, be it with your mother, with your parents, with your sister, with your husband, with anyone, with your friends. Communication is a key thing which runs every relationship, which is a vehicle to every relationship. How does it impact an individual? Rejection, people pleasing, hiding true feelings, avoiding conflict, thinking that you're not good enough. Maybe you stay late at night and you feel really sad because you feel that you are all alone. So, that is one fear that every person must overcome. Feeling rejected feels horrible. Sometimes I have also gone through this phase where I felt rejected, I was cheated on, and that relationship broke me in several ways and it gave me trauma. But holding on to that thing would not help you in future. How it impacts your relationship? Lack of authenticity, you start lying. Emotional suppression, you don't talk openly about your feelings, what you need to your partner. You lose, you try so hard, but you lose yourself while you want to be loved. It's not how you earn someone's love, it's about how they love you for you being you. Now, segment 4, fear of not being good enough. Many people work themselves up so much just because they think that they are not enough. They go into deep depression, they self criticize, they reject themselves. This is self rejection. They reject themselves because they think that they are not good enough. They start comparing themselves to others. They feel a sense of worthlessness. I'm not attractive enough, not successful enough, not good enough. Research insight. Studies in self esteem psychology show that low self worth directly impacts relationship satisfaction. And how does it impact an individual? Constant compression, seeking validation, self sabotage. Relationship impact, jealousy, emotional insecurity, obsessiveness, misinterpreting natural actions as rejection. Future impact, even in a healthy relationship, you will feel unsafe. You start doubting your partner, you start fighting with them over small things, start overthinking certain things. So that's what happens when you feel like you're not good enough. Because fear isn't about them, it is about what is inside you and how you see yourself. Segment 5, fear of conflict. See, some people don't fight, not because things are perfect, but because they are afraid conflict will destroy their relationship. But see, conflicts actually brings out what is in your heart. And when conflict happens, you get to know each other better. That is my opinion. I'm not a doctor, but that is my opinion. See, when conflict happens, you know each other better and deeply. Why does conflict happen? Because you love each other. Sometimes there may be certain things that are happening between you two that you have different opinion about, but conflict may happen. But the important point is not the conflict, the important point is talking that conflict out before you go to bed. Talk out that conflict, solve the problems between you, solve everything, clear things in your head. Don't sleep with a heavy heart. Otherwise, it will turn into something deeper. It will turn into a deep wound. So, mending things after conflict is very important. How does it impact an individual? Avoiding difficult conversations, which is really wrong because difficult conversations actually gives more clarity in relationships. Bottling up emotions, internal stress. Of course, when you start thinking about something, when you suppress your emotions, you will have no stress, right? Relationship impact, unresolved issues. Very bad. Emotional distance build, passive aggressive pattern. These things happen. And future impact? Small problems become big problems. Because silence is not peace, it is a slow poison. Segment 6, fear of losing control. This shows up as the need to control every situation, everything that your partner wants to do, or even your emotions, suppressing them. How does it impact an individual? Anxiety when things feel uncertain. You try to overrule your partner. You try to show them that you are correct. But the thing is that you are trying to control that situation according to your way because you think that is correct. But the truth might be something else. The truth might be something very much else. How does it impact relationship? Controlling behavior, it happens when a partner controls the other partner. They become more controlling. The other partner, they feel suppressed, they feel sad, they don't have freedom in their relationship starts feeling suffocating. There are more fights that starts happening between you two. Emotional distance happens. This problem creates emotional distance and love loses its place. So no one wants to feel managed in a relationship. That's the important thing. Love turns into management instead of a love connection. Segment 7, fear of vulnerability. Some people don't want to show their true self. Some people don't want to be vulnerable to love. Some people don't want that intimacy, that loving intimacy with their partners, the intimacy of emotions, the intimacy of love, the intimacy of acceptance. Individual impacts, emotional wall, fear of being judged, avoid deep conflicts. You know, Brené Brown, his research says that vulnerability is birthplace of love, connection, and belonging. How does it impact a relationship? Surface level connection, surface level, not a deep connection. You don't trust each other deeply, you don't love each other deeply. Matlab, yeah, lack of emotional depth, feeling close but not really close, feeling close and being close, feeling and being is two different things. What happens when you feel close? You feel attracted to that person. You might feel validated. You might feel a very different connection, a very different spark with him. But true closeness happens when you know each other deeply. When you know each other deeply and you still choose to love them, knowing their negatives as well and their positives and their negatives, both loving both in one person, that makes you vulnerable. Segment 8, fear of being hurt again. This is when your past starts controlling you. I accept that a lot of incidents that happen in past actually controls how you perceive people, perceive reality today. But when something traumatic has happened to you and you know it is destroying something in your life, then therapy becomes therapy, psychologists, these they become very important in solving the issues in you. What if I end up like what happened to me in the past? What if it happens again? You start thinking like this, and it gives you more and more fear, and that thing makes you control every situation. That thing makes you have anxiety, sometimes depression. How does it impact an individual? Trust issues, hypervigilance, emotional withdrawal. Three dangerous things. How does it impact an emotion? Pushing correct partners, punishing correct partners for their past mistake. What happened in the past? They think if they find similar patterns which are not maybe not that related, but if that happens, that person starts blaming the current partner. Difficulty in building trust. When you lost yourself in a relationship, it is very difficult to build trust in someone else. People need time with that. People need time to regulate their emotions, and if something deeper has happened, therapy is a really good option, as I said. But overcoming one's past is a victory to a happy life, to a joyous, colorful life. Emotional inconsistency, that's habits. You start withdrawal, and after some time, you start giving all of your emotions, all of your love, and then you again withdraw. You put your partner in a confusing situation, which suffocates them, which makes them confused that do they love me or do they don't? What is happening? They become confused that should I stay with her or that this is the psychology that happens with the other part. Until you heal, you don't choose differently. You repeat differently. Now, how to heal? So, what do we do with all these fears? There are so many fears in a relationship. So, what do we do? First, we don't fight them, we pinpoint them, we acknowledge them, and we understand them. Because these fears were once your protection that your brain conceived as, but now it might be a limitation. It might be a recurring habit, which is eating up the good things in your life, eating up the good things to come. Now, three steps to healing: awareness, communication, emotional safety. Awareness, notice your patterns without judgment, accept yourself. I know we everyone is not good. We all have something negatives in us. So we should unconditionally accept ourselves. When we start unconditionally accepting ourselves, we can accept our thing. And I have understood this with a great difficulty in my life. So the first step is to understand what negatives you have. Communication. Express the fears instead of acting them. Talk to your partner. Tell them about it. Talk to your partner about your past, how it has affected you. Talk among yourselves. That is a thing. And you can also talk to therapist. Yeah, therapist and psychologist. Emotional safety. Choose partners who create security, not confusion. See, why does a particular person repeatedly makes chooses same partner with same habits, with same red flags? Why? Because of their past trauma. Unconsciously, subconsciously, you choose a particular person. You fall in love with a particular person, and those same things repeat. That's why. First, you need emotional security. Avoid confusion. If you find these red flags in a person at the very start of your relationship, it is better to withdraw then. Because if it happens for a longer period of time, it will affect you mentally. It will completely affect you mentally. It might become a trauma again, and it is something that will become difficult to resolve. So, yeah. So, if you saw yourself in any of these fears, that doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It means that you are a human. And most importantly, it means that you are aware and now you are ready to rectify yourself and live a better life. Because the goal isn't to love without fear. The goal is not to let fear how you love. So, this is your reminder. You deserve a relationship where you feel safe, seen, chosen, and heard. Not someday, but now. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast and send this to someone who can relate with this a lot, who can learn from this. And see you in the next video brought to you by Intimax Wellness.